way more than what they're getting. As far as the solution goes, wish I had an answer. I think just starting the conversation is important and going from there. But right now it's training camp. It's time for me to lock in on 49ers football and doing what I can to help the team.
Any particular focus for you in your offseason training physically?
Every year is very similar. There's tweaks here and there, but I think the biggest thing is just being physically in shape, strong, fast, all that, getting bigger, faster, stronger, quicker, and then just a better understanding of the offense and defenses. There's always something you can work on, and so a lot of the same stuff, but just continuing to grow off of OTAs.
How nice was it to have a breather? I know you hit the ground running last year, so to have the entire offseason without games, has that helped you develop a better command of the playbook?
Definitely. Yeah, I think OTAs are really important for me this year, just being able to understand what they're trying to accomplish way more in-depth, not week to week, really talk about specific things. So it was great for me. I'm glad I went and definitely feel better going into camp than week 7.
In the OTAs, it seemed like you were playing at a different level than some of the other guys out there. Did you feel like you wanted to kind of set a tone for the speed at which you practiced?
I really practice one speed. I love football. I love being out there, and I think when I'm going, I go. And that's just always been my philosophy. My mindset is try to win every rep.
You said you realized pretty quick how bad this team wants to get over the hump and get that Super Bowl. How much do you kind of have, especially having been here now for a while, kind of feel that urgency as you go into this training camp to take that next step?
Yeah, it's huge. I think the challenge is always just staying focused on one day at a time. There's a lot that goes on before the first game starts. So for us, it's we know we have a lot of talent. We know what it takes to put it together, but putting it together is a long, tough process, and you got to go through some growing pains, some good days, some bad days, and that's what this time's for. And just about growing, learning, getting better every day, and taking it one day at a time.
What's it like for you going into a season on a team like this? Nothing against your past teams, but just being on a team loaded where that is a realistic possibility.
It's exciting. Yeah, it's definitely really exciting. I'm happy to be a part of a stacked team and a bunch of great coaches, great players, great staff. Like I said, just focus on one day at a time.
Can you describe how meaningful it is to have Brock cleared for day one of camp?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think everybody was fired up, to hear that. It's a testament to him. He's put in so much work. We've kind of seen it from outside the building, but all he's done is work. And so the fact that he's ready to go is exciting for all of us.
With an eye on week 1, how do you sort of straddle a line between, or I'm pushing through this day, as opposed to maybe I should back off a little bit, tell the coaches I should rest a little bit? Because Kyle said that he trusts you to tell him that.
Yeah, I think this period is about developing a callousness for the season. You need to be, there's going to be days where you have to push through things, and there's going to be days to kind of lean off. But that's why we have such a great staff who's in charge of that. I think they've made it so easy for, in OTAs for me and for other guys, and I know they make it easy for us in camp, so we don't have to think about all this stuff. They have the data, they have the metrics, and so we leave it up to them. They're the scientists and the brains behind it, so we can just go out there and play when they tell us to play and rest when they tell us to rest.
You had a couple of running backs behind you, and Jordan Mason and Ty Davis-Price that didn't get a lot of passes as college players, but have been working on that in the offseason. What have you seen in that facet of the game from those two players?
It's been so good to watch them grow and learn, and I think the biggest thing when it comes to that aspect of playing the position is just an understanding of the whole concept as one, and understanding spacing and timing and when to do what, and those guys have done such a good job. We got Bobby Turner and Anthony Lynn in there. Coach T coached them up big time and gets them right, so to see their growth has been awesome.
Giant, bigger picture, how much do you see just having this extra time with the playbook helping you coming up in the season?
Sorry, say that second part.
Having this extra time with the playbook and getting kind of more in depth into it with Kyle and with Bobby Turner, how much do you see that helping you this season?
Yeah, it's huge. It's definitely a complex playbook, and just like I said, having an off season where you can not just study the plays, but get much more in depth as to why it's happening and what they're trying to accomplish on every play, and really repetition. I think repetition is the best way to learn, and it's so important to get those reps so that you can start to feel the spacing, the timing, you can start to grow with the guys that you're going to play with, and learn how they play, what works inside the scheme of the offense, and I think it's definitely it's much better than, like I said, showing up and figuring it out.
Difference out of the ball, Christian, but what's it like for you reunited with Steve Wilkes?
Oh, it's awesome. I saw what he did in Carolina. I saw the way, everybody respected him. I had 2 stints with him in Carolina, and the narrative around him's just been the same the whole time. And so I'm excited that he's here and on our team.
Dino told us last time we talked to him that his self-assessment was that he was awful last year after he talked to Kyle. And I know players can be self-critical sometimes to motivate themselves. I wonder what you think of that assessment of him and after you got to play with him. And you got here during the season, and he hurt his knee at one point. Have we even really seen the ways in which you guys can be utilized yet?
Yeah, I mean, they say the best players are their hardest critics, and from my point of view, I think Debo is one of the most special players and athletes I've ever been around. He does things with the ball in his hands that you can't coach, you can't teach. So I'm excited for him. I know he's been working extremely hard. Look, we have great coaches. We have guys who know how to put guys in space, and having him on the field is a massive advantage for us, for me, for everybody. So I'm excited to see him out here. I know he's hungry and ready to go.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
How you guys doing? Doing well.
Away.
Say it again?
How was your time away? Anything new?
Anything new? No, just training. I was down there in San Diego with Troy. Blessed just to be down there with him and learn as much as I could. So definitely trying to get me right and trying to get me ready for the season. So I'm really blessed. So.
Concepts that you work on with him? You've been working with him for a while.
Honestly, if you were to ask him, and he probably wouldn't say anything, but if you were to ask him, he would he's super quiet, but he'd probably just tell you my whole game. And I know it sounds super cliche, but if you really dive deep down into the consistency of my game, there's different things that I got to work on, the strengths, the weaknesses, and you just want to elevate, and elevate the team. So as much as I can, just to be more of a leader in our room. It's weird because I'm still young and younger in the room. So trying to gain that respect and stuff as much as I can just to be a guy for us. And so.
Quick rise last year for your first year as a starter to All-Pro. When you reflect back on last season, what are the things that you took away from it?
I was just grateful, for the opportunity just to showcase my talents. But at the end of the day, I just want to be the best version of myself, and that has to be more consistent. And so better eyes, better consistency throughout my play, and just go out there and be better of a team leader. I think my thing is I'm really loud and talkative on the field as they want me to be, but be better in the classroom for everybody else to be more of a teacher too. So anytime you can teach and lend a hand, I think it helps yourself as well. So if I can do that, kind of elevate everybody else around us as well. So.
Are you doing that teaching aspect with Jair Brown, and what did you see from him in the spring, and what kind of things have you shared with him in your experience?
Yeah, no, he's first off, tremendous guy. Just in the locker room, I think his presence is, like I said, I think I'm even younger than him, so it's kind of weird, trying to talk to him. But a guy that comes in just kind of with his mentality, his maturity, really right there where it needs to be. Very rangy, I say, as a safety, getting to watch him just the way he can. That's why, you bring a guy like him into our locker room. But I'm trying to, as much as I can, bring him along. But I think that's, a really unique opportunity for Gip as well. I was able to go under Gip's wing last year, and kind of for Tashawn just to kind of take him too, because that's, those are guys that, I don't know. As a younger safety, you want to lean on a vet like that that's been through a lot. He has 30 plus interceptions in his career. So very grateful to have him in our locker room as well. So.
Jair had 10 the last 2 years in college, and supposedly he had a ton of OTAs, but they happened on days that we weren't there. I think most of them. What were those interceptions like? Are those instinct interceptions? Is that something that he just has seemed to carry over to this level?
Yeah, just watching his game is very, he's on point with his stuff. His communication, he's learning really quick, and I think, like I said, when it comes back to the maturity, it's this confidence on the field, and I think that plays a big role. If you go out there and you're timid, you're not going to make the plays that you want to make. And so watching a guy like Tig, or Jair, sorry, but Tig doing his thing, he really is falling into that role perfectly. So he's going to make his plays for sure.
Last year about trying to strike the right balance between being a playmaker back there and sort of protecting against giving up big play. How difficult a balance is that, and what did you learn?
For me, it's just everybody goes through adversity, whether it's injuries, whether it's not getting tests right if you're in college, goes through those different things. So for me, it was just balancing through that, I've made my great plays, and I missed a lot of plays too. So for me, just balancing them ahead, like I said, I just got to be more consistent. So just got to continue to work on that, and hopefully my teammates can help me with that as well.
Steve Wilkes obviously has an experience in the secondary. What does he bring to your guys' secondary this year?
A lot of knowledge, I say that. Being in the secondary room with him is different, because I don't think I've been in a room with a defensive coordinator in a secondary room, and so it was really unique, and it was really cool for me. And during OTAs, being able to establish like a routine with him, and understanding like I can ask him any questions back there and really get feedback immediately. You don't have to go through a couple guys just to get to a coach. So for me, that was like a pretty cool opportunity. Just seeing the knowledge that he brings to the game is like unbelievable. So. Just very blessed for sure.
It seems like he's really hands-on, on the field. What was your impression of that, just the way he makes corrections as practice is going?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. He has such for a guy like him to come in just to bring his energy. It's like he makes us run. If you get a pick, you got to finish in the end zone. And a guy like him, he's just running all around the field. I'm like, man, chill out, you good. But having him, it's been awesome. So.
Now you're learning, getting to know a new defensive coordinator. What's it like building that trust in the offseason now?
Well, you got when you build that, you gotta be on point. First one in, last one out type stuff, and just being consistent. And that's like it's the biggest message I try to get across is like that's what he pushes for us too. So it's accountability, commitment, and trust, and being consistent each and every day. And so when you can do that, then it's all gonna build together for sure.
Your first 2 seasons, the way the seasons have been painful. What is your sense of, I guess, whatever impact that's had on the players? Is it just more a source of motivation?
Yeah, I think the way our last 2 seasons ended is it leaves a taste in your mouth, but it just makes you hungry. I think all the guys in our locker room believe and know that what we can accomplish when we get to that next step, get to that last game of the year, and if we can do that, great things will happen. So.
Jimmy Ward was the guy that had a lot of influence in the secondary and had been here for quite a while. Is it up to you to be one of the guys that steps into that leadership void? Is that what you were talking about earlier? I mean, you got to be yourself, and he's him, but you have to do a little bit more in that regard.
Yeah, I think I can step up as much as I can, and as much as guys allow me to. Jimmy had that presence in our locker room and on the field. Just a great guy, and for him to move on, I think it's a lot. Everybody understands that. I think everybody's kind of elevating their game, their style, their presence. So it's not just the older guys that lead, And we had a lot of vets last year, like E-Man, Dante, and JV. I think all those guys that really were able to put out really good stuff for us. And so for us, I think having Gip, having Mooney, Demo, we're all slowly rising, and new guys come in as well. And so I think we're all just gonna take what we've learned and put it together, and hopefully great things will happen. So.
All right, thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You said what?
Seem to get shorter every year?
Every year. It's like, what off season? What is that?
Boxing something you took up this offseason, or had you been doing that?
I kind of started incorporating that, I think, 2 years ago, just as like a extra conditioning piece to try and get my wind up. So, because obviously my whole job is sprinting back and forth, like play in and play out. So I feel like it's helped a lot.
Did that have anything to do with the guy that looked exactly like you and you saw that?
No, I did see that circulating, but you know what's, and that's so funny too, because like some people still to this day believe that that was me. Like I met Jalen Waddle not too long ago. He's like, bro, you know some things. Like I'm like, no, bro, it's not me, bro. I'm like, that's not me, man. It's all good.
You had a healthy rivalry with Brandon Ayuk last training camp. Do you see that continuing, or do you have a new person in your sights?
Nah, it's a healthy rivalry with everyone. You know, I think what makes a great team, and I've always talked about it, you know, just kind of like having that healthy competition out there on the field amongst everyone. You know, I think we all breed just the best out of each other when we're out there kind of getting after one another. And I'd probably expect the same this year.
He kind of announced it on his Instagram story.
Oh, him? Oh, well, good luck.
Describe your relationship with Coach Wilkes, and what do you think he brings to this defense?
Yeah, I think the relationship is really good. You know, given obviously we've only spent, you know, a limited amount of time together, but I really like what I've seen so far. And, you know, I think he's going to do an amazing job leading the group. From day one, he kind of like set the tone, set the standard of what he expects out of us, and has been just super humble about wanting to continue to do what we do and learning the system, even though it's not something that he's used to, which, I mean, I think that speaks volumes in itself. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really fun just getting to know him even more and work under him.
Jimmy Wood was such a key leader in the secondary for such a long time here. With him no longer here, do you see Talanoa sort of filling that role as a leader?
Yeah, I think it's something that's kind of organic, something that organically happens throughout training camp, throughout the season. I don't think it's all on Huff's shoulders to be the guy all of a sudden. I think it's going to be leadership by committee in that room, you know, especially with him, Gibb, Mooney, all the older vets in that room. I think that's going to work itself out naturally.
With the way the season has ended for you 3 of the last 4 years, I mean, in kind of heartbreaking fashion, can that have a psychological toll on a team? Is it something that needs to be addressed from someone like you as a captain, or is that just a bunch of fun?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's something that it hardens you. I think it makes you a better person, a better player. Like having that experience, I think, is only going to help us going forward, especially when we get later in the season, when you need that experience as a group. But I don't think it's something that needs to be addressed. I think there's so much like excitement and kind of just like butterflies going into every season, regardless of what happened the year before. You know, you don't get to snap your fingers and go right back to that moment. You start from square one, just like everybody else around the league right now. So you can't skip a day. You can't look too far ahead. You got to make sure that you're present in the moment right now and giving it your all every single day. You know, you got to put the work in. You can't just say, all right, we got this player, we got this player. Like, you got to make sure like you're putting the work in regardless of who you have, because just having good players isn't going to get you anywhere. You got to make sure you got a great team, not just, you know, great individuals.
Following up on that a little bit, how much do you, especially with this core in particular, you never know how long you're going to be together. I'm sure every year the goal is to win the Super Bowl, but how much urgency do you feel that to get this done and get over the hump with this group?
I honestly, I've felt that ever since I've gotten here. You know, I don't think the urgency has changed at all. I think the urgency has been extremely high since the moment I got here, and I think we do a good job of making sure that we work in that way, like with intent for the ultimate goal. It's not in the hopes of achieving something. It's with the expectation of doing so. You know, all you can ask for every year is a chance, and I know we have a chance every single year because of the way that this organization runs. You know, and the people at the top, that from top down. So yeah, I feel full urgency right now.
Fred, what are your early impressions of Javon Hargrave, and what do you think he's going to give this defense?
Yeah, I think he's just a real humble guy, honestly. Like, given like all the success he's had in this league and how dominant of a player he's been, he's come in and just fit right in and just been real humble, ready to work. You know, and that's exactly the type of guys that we want in the building on our defense.
is guys that want to put their head down, work, and continue to get better regardless of what they've achieved and done. So I think he's going to fit right in. I think he's going to be a huge part of what we do.
You guys had that swarm motto, excuse me, under D'Amico. Anything new like that with Steve Wilkes?
Yeah, but I'll probably let him if he wants to, speak on what that is. I'll let him speak on it. But I think every year, coach, like our defensive coordinator or whoever, coaches kind of go into like every season with either a slogan or something that they want to do to kind of keep the focus, keep the I guess like the standard of what is expected amongst the group, and that hasn't changed with him.
What was your reaction when you found out that Brock Purdy had been cleared? He's not on PUP to start training camp.
I didn't know that.
Now that you've learned that,
So he'll. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's
no restrictions.
no restrictions.
With the pitch count.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm really not surprised. I've seen the way that he's been working. I've been here training all summer, and I know he's been here, and I think in Jacksonville training too. But I'm not surprised. I know the makeup of how he is. Since the moment he's gotten here, it only makes sense that he's ahead of schedule. I'm assuming he's ahead of schedule. I didn't know if that was supposed to be the case or not. But yeah, I'm interested to see how he looks. Obviously, after all his rehab.
Some of the early championship teams this team had in the 80s had famously intense practices with Ronnie Lott on one side, Joe Montana on the other. I'm just wondering if you're aware of that history and what you're sort of, what's informing your desire to have those types of practices with the current team.
I mean, I'm aware of the history and the greatness of those players that you just mentioned. I obviously have never seen clips of what those practices look like or have heard any detailed stories. But, I think just kind of studying the greats, studying great teams is, you've got to have that competitive fire like going on on the practice field. I think the guys who practice the hardest are the ones who play the best on game day, because they're putting themselves in that situation day in and day out of how they're supposed to do it, like the right way, in practice. And so that's ultimately how you get the best out of yourself, out of your teammates. And I know like when you're pushing one another, that's obviously going to make yourself better as well as your teammates. So I know just doing that is what's going to make us our best selves.
Yeah, will you two more breathe a little easier when Nick Bosa shows up?
You should breathe a little easier. Yeah. We'll see when that is, but I know obviously they've always done a great job of getting that kind of stuff done with guys that when their time is up for an extension, and I know they will with him. And if there was one guy I wasn't worried about being in shape for training camp, I think it'd be Nick Bosa.
Particular personal goals that you're setting forward for yourself this season for on the field?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously always like, personal accolades that you want for yourself. But my goal every year is to just be better than I was last year in every aspect. And, when you're at the top, it's harder to get better, stay at the top, so you got to work even harder. And that's what I always look forward to is the grind of it, especially training camp, making sure that I'm my best self and my best version for the team come week one and throughout the entire season. So I put the work in. I'm ready. I'm excited. I guess you'll have to wait and see. Thanks, guys.